right, we are live, 11:13 on the money. New start time. Happy Sunday. I almost said July. I keep writing down June and July instead of August, so I'm not really sure what the fuck. Feels like a timeline soup that we're dealing with right now. Makes sense with all the energy and the astrology and everything right now. So it's August 10th. The full moon in Aquarius was last night. Or yesterday, early morning yesterday. And if you saw my promo, I said, "We are the weirdos, mister." Very appropriate for the Aquarius full moon. Aquarius is known as the weirdo, the alien, the outcast. So tap into your inner weirdo for this Aquarius full moon. Find your superpower. I also should probably introduce myself again. Dread Pirate KK, coming at you live from the crossroads, aboard the galactic pirate ship, Midnight Diner, Mystery School, session 9. I got my fan working, so clearly we're going to have some noise on the stream. I will do my best to use the audio cleanup on this software that I use, so hopefully when you're watching it on YouTube, it is all good. If not, however, there are some updates coming, so we're going to get into all these things. I have some notes. As always, we shall see what actually comes out of my mouth, but welcome in. Hope you got your coffee, your pie, whatever favorite snacks you got. Definitely need some water. I forgot I put coconut. What are they called? Electrolytes. It's good, but I was expecting regular water. I forgot that I put extra hydration. Although I think I am slightly allergic to coconut. Whenever I use coconut oil as a moisturizer, it actually dries me out worse. And I tried to put coconut oil in my hair for like moisturizer kind of stuff way back in the day, and it just itchy, flaky, not good. But I still like the coconut water for hydration, so we'll see. This fucking Mercury retrograde has fucked me all the way up. 800,000 ways till Sunday. I don't know what the fuck. So we'll start with the energy and some of the astrology or whatever right now. So yeah, we're still in the middle of the Mercury retrograde, although it does go direct, I think, tomorrow, I want to say, because the shadow period, the post-shadow period ends on the 25th of August. Thank Christ. This one has just miscommunications, slow down, tech issues. I can't. So the pre-shadow started June 30th. So when I was filming my Guardian and the Tick Girl promo, the amount of tech issues I just had to finally give the fuck up and post it and just accept imperfection, whatever. And it's been like that the last couple times I've been trying to do my promos. And in fact, also, if you want to see, they took my promo down. YouTube took my promo down for the last one, number 8. What was that called? Old School, New Earth. They took it down because apparently all these fucking arbitrary rules. It's like I made sure to keep my music clip down to like, I don't know, 30 seconds, maybe 35. I don't know. Really short. I knew it was going to pass all the copyright shit. And then when I posted it on YouTube, they were like, "Oh, we're going to take it down. Because if your video is longer than 60 seconds, you're not allowed to have any music or something." I didn't understand. I was just like, well, That's why I'm going to restart my Substack and put all my art behind a paywall, apparently, because that is the only way I'm going to be able to get it out to people who want to actually see it. So I'm not going to be doing that just yet. Like I said, I'm going to wait for this Mercury retrograde to kind of cool the fuck off. But I will be working on that. I think so. Keeping on with the astrology and the energy and stuff, we got the full moon in Aquarius, which is already just, it's like a release of stuff that a release / culmination point of the things we started at the Aquarius new moon back in January of this year. So it's always a 6-month cycle. You get the new moon, and then 6 months later, you kind of see what's going on, what you're releasing, what you're letting go, what you're realizing, kind of what's been illuminated in the subconscious. The moon is the subconscious, the hidden, that kind of thing. So the sun is like shining brightly on all that. And so where were you, or what were you doing on the Aquarius new moon back in January? It was the end of January. I can't remember when, the lunar new year. Oh, also corrections and omissions. Forgot about that. If you watched the YouTube version of the last episode, number 8, I put a little corrections and omissions slide in there to kind of clarify some stuff, but it was brought to my attention that it wasn't super clear what I was all pissed off about, or what my problem was with the Brigitte Macron story. And I don't give a single shit if she's a man or woman. I don't fucking care. What bothers me is the pedophilia and the manipulation and the lies. So clearing that up for anyone who did not see the YouTube version of this. I also ended up saying I was going through menopause instead of perimenopause. Of course I did that because words are just taken out of my brain. Oh my God. Perimenopause. Not that it's bad to go through menopause, but just like, if you're in this journey with me, giving you some milestones to, I never even fucking heard of perimenopause. One of my friends mentioned it, I think about 10 years ago, maybe, because she was like, I'm convinced I'm going through perimenopause. And I was like, what the fuck is that? Is this a made up word? Like, what are we talking about here? And just the fact that, like, no, we don't know anything about our own bodies, our own cycles. We're just not taught any of these things. And perimenopause is in fact real. And more people are talking about it. Thank God, because that's how I'm learning about all this stuff. Fucking medical system. Whatever. So, okay. So I got the corrections and omissions out of the way. The Mercury retrograde fucked me all the way up. LMAO. That's my my notes. So at the end of July / beginning of August, there were also what is known as days out of time. And I've been hearing a couple different, I don't know, interpretations or whatever. I don't know what the word is, of course. But the first time I heard about days out of time, there was one day out of time, and I think it was like July 25th, and then July 26th is like the galactic new year or whatever. That is, I was getting some reset energy that weekend, so that makes sense to me. But then someone else was posting about how there are about 5 days out of time from July 30th through August 3rd. Anyway, we in one of my close friends, we talk about how there's a portal from 7/7 to 8/8, July 7th to August 8th. And yes, there are portals so whenever the month mirrors the day, 2/2, 3/3, whatever. Those are always like big portal days, lots of energy, whatever. But for whatever reason, my friend and I keep feeling the 7/7 to 8/8 is like a major rebirth, level up, all kinds of stuff. And 8/8, there's a lot of talk about how that's the Lion's Gate portal. I don't believe that's true. I think the Lion's Gate is different, and it's kind of like a new age psyop, this 8/8 manifestation, but whatever. But if the stuff that they're talking about, like the Sirius star aligning with the sun, and it's like astrologically impossible because the sun is in Cancer and the Sirius is in Leo. And I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So don't listen to any of that crap. It's not real. But the heliacal rising of Sirius, which is what Sirius star is, it depends. It's like the flooding of the Nile. It's like the first, it marks the period of this rebirth energy, like the flooding of the Nile. You get the crops, all kinds of everything. And that can be different days of the year, but it's towards the end of July. And it's different depending on where you are in the world, because it would be based on local, whatever. That's too much in the weeds. But basically, Lion's Gate shit, 8/8, whatever. I just go with the portal numbers, the 8/8, 7/7, whatever. And so we're having a lot of energy flowing through, and the fact that those were days out of time also just felt very, very resonant. It was just I've been feeling like, and I've had these feelings before where like a bunch of energy whooshes through, and then I kind of feel like I'm untethered and like, and it just feels hard to kind of focus and get back. But this time I've been feeling that same energy with like a knock you off your, it's like normally I would be drowning in this energy and just kind of like, I don't know what the fuck, and kind of like lashing out and whatever. But now I'm able to just kind of like lock back into my center, and I can feel the swirling around me. And so I know there's a lot of confusion and a lot of uncertainty and a lot of just like, what the fuck, people feel like they're drowning, like that energy is in the air. But for some reason, whatever work I've been doing on my own, like centering, etc., it's just locking into my center and not letting anything fuck with me. So good job me, celebrating wins, all the soul growth, etc. So the days at a time, the full moon, the portal, 8-8, whatever. What else is going on? Oh, there's obviously Mercury retrograde, and then there's the Saturn-Mars opposition, the two malefics opposing each other, battle of wills, rah! So there might be some tension in the air. This has felt a little bit more of like August feels a lot of these months have felt explosive, but this also feels kind of like the tension is building towards something, and September feels like a massive month of something going down. So what I get the feeling of, and I'm hearing other astrologers talk about the alignments, etc., I am under the impression that like August and September are going to be full of choice points for everyone about what they want to leave behind versus the person they are becoming, and how much they want to lean in to that. And I've already gotten some opportunities for that. For example, even accepting / asking for help. One of my fucking cats, fucking Leonidas, he a couple weeks after I moved into the Midnight Diner, he had this huge infected bite. He'd gotten in a fight or whatever, and like whatever the bite, it was just like massive. And I'd never seen anything like that on a cat. I was like, what the fuck is going on? So of course I call the vet, and I'm trying to make an appointment, whatever. This is back in November of last year, and they got me in like 2 days later, but I got confused. I thought it was the next day. So anyway, I had to go, and it was a shift at the library that I was, trying to beat. I was like, okay, if I go to the vet now, I could still make it on time to my shift at the library. And then when I got to the vet, they were like, your appointment's tomorrow. And I was like, what the fuck? And I had to go back home. And of course I was late to the library, whatever. But on the way home, I guess the stress or whatever, something happened where the wound, he lanced it it got lanced, and it just like exploded basically. And so all the stuff was coming out, and I wiped it down. I was like, oh, thank God he's going to be okay. Cause like, as long as it's, as long as the infection is able to clear out, it's fine. But when it's like stuck like that, you got to open it up so everything comes out. So anyway, clearly, and November for me was full of like purging poison and all kinds of, it was a very crazy month. And I know it happened for that was in the middle, like the beginning, middle of the Mars retrograde period. So this was a build up to things that were happening from October through like, March or whatever of this year. So he had one of those already. So I knew, so he has another infected bite or whatever near his tail. I'm like, who the fuck? How did you get a bite on your tail? Like, clearly he was probably running from something, and they got maybe it was a possum. I don't know. I love possums, by the way. It's a spirit animal of mine. And I have one at my farm. I was trying to catch the groundhog that's been eating my fucking garden, but instead I caught a possum, and I was like, oh, little baby, I love you. So I, of course, let him out, let him do his thing. He got caught in there again. I was like, buddy, you need to learn your lesson. Do not go in this fucking trap. I still haven't gotten the groundhog. And I feel like, I know I've talked about this before, but the Bill Murray Caddyshack character, groundhogs. We'll get him. Or maybe he's teaching me a lesson of some kind. I don't know. Whatever. Regardless. Blah, blah, blah. So anyway, yes, Leonidas has this little bite on his tail, and it is gnarly. It smelled gross. It is just infected, whatever. So I was able to get some hydrogen peroxide on him with the help of my friend. And then I was able to do more a couple times later that same night. This was a couple nights ago. And then yesterday I was like, you know what? I do need help. And my friend was like, if you want me to come over, I am happy to help you with your cat. And I was like, well, I don't want to accept help because it feels so hard. And it feels like people are just humoring me and they don't really want to give me help. They don't really love me enough to, you know, all the programs running through my head where it's like, it's not safe to ask for help. And so this time I was like, we're just going to trust. We're going to lean into the new person I want to be, which is trusting that help is okay to accept. Love is okay to, it's safe to accept all these things. It's safe to be this new person. So whatever you're dealing with in these months of August and September, it's leveling you up. It's more threshold guardian type stuff. It's like here's threshold guardians are just, it's like a word I use for as you break through one level and you want to move up to this next embodiment, you know, getting more fully aligned with your own soul, etc. There are threshold guardians there, which are really just opportunities for you. It's like, are you sure you don't want to be your old self? Are you sure you don't want to fall into your old patterns? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? And finally, it's like, God, yes, get me alone. Leave me alone. So anyway, that's where I've been. And if you're there, trust me, it's just part of the process and you will make it through. But just continue to choose to be your new self. And eventually you will stop getting those opportunities to be like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? But you'll have other opportunities to be like, are you sure? Are you sure? It's all just level ups. And if you think about it as a game, like some sort of video game or whatever, it makes it a little bit easier. For me, it makes it a little bit easier to keep in context and not throw as many tantrums. But again, I love my tantrums, so please feel free to throw some because it helps get the energy out. And if you keep things inside of you, it's just going to bubble out sooner or later anyway. So proponent of tantrums. Have we gotten through? So I guess more about the August, September thing. Oh, it's also like a level up. We're kind of with this full moon in particular, I think, and then like moving forward from it because we're moving into eclipse season 2. There's going to be a next level of support for those of us who have so back in April was a lot of new beginnings for a lot of people, and you made a choice point to either move forward with something through fear or whatever through your threshold guardians, or you kind of fell back into old patterns or whatever. And it's fine. We're in these are like dress rehearsals. No choice is wrong. You always learn from anything that you've done. And so if you're beating yourself up like, man, I should have done that, blah, blah, like, okay, maybe, yeah, you should have, quote unquote, should have, but like you learned stuff in this next round of stuff of existence and what you were going through. And so it's really, you'll get to where you need to go no matter what. Like your soul has a plan. You're going to be on the path. It's going to be either uncomfortable or whatever in parts, but like you will get there. Nothing that is for you will miss you. If it's your calling, it's going to keep calling you until you answer. This is the hero's journey. And a lot of times it's like, we're in the refusal of the call. It's like, oh, I don't want to, no thanks. I'm not doing that. And again, because this is not a superhero whatever movie, or it doesn't seem like that because we're not, usually when I see if I'm watching a movie or whatever, and it's like the main character gets his destiny call and they're like, oh, I'm not going to leave. Oh, no, it's safe here, whatever. But I'm like, why wouldn't you go on the adventure? Just do the thing because it feels fun and like whatever. All of our refusals of all the calls are coming from inside the house. And they're like, face the parts of you that you have rejected or whatever, everything that you're scared of, everything that you're ashamed of, all that stuff. Those are the parts that are calling us. And so it's very easy to refuse the call because it is not it's not always a fun journey, but that's why the Midnight Diner is here to help support you as you move through this hero's journey that is the calling of your soul. So there's a shift happening and we're going to make it and it's fine, but there's some turbulence and stuff. So whatever choice points you were facing kind of at the end of March, beginning of April, there's going to be a level up. So for me, that literally April 1st is when I started the Midnight Diner streams. And so I feel like I'm getting a lot more support. And so, for example, and this is coming back to the fan and the studio that I'm in and whatever, the update that I have for this is that I have another friend who is going to be sharing her studio space with there's a group of 4 of us, and we're going to be sharing the studio space and then just like paying her for if we have client, or if we use the room and we have a paying client, it's like we'll pay part of that to her. So it's like nice passive income for her, as well as like a space that we don't have to pay for. We don't have the money. The other 3 of us, we don't have the money to pay for a studio yet. So it's a really great, it's just like a synergy thing where she's got stuff that we need, you know, we've got stuff that she needs, like the money. So it's a really great system. We're not set up with like keys or any of that stuff yet, but I already feel like I'm more supported because this is coming in for me. And so these are the last streams. I'm not sure when we're going to actually, I feel like it's probably going to be about September that we start the whole, like I will actually be streaming from there at some point, whatever. But, so enjoy the last streams with our little Crow friend and our little DS9 model, janky, trash goddessy studio with no air conditioning. A little heat. So anyway, we're just, this is part of enjoying the process. It's just kind of like, hey, every phase of the journey is fun. Just allow it to be fun, even though it is infuriating sometimes. It's all good. So yeah, you're either going to be met with a lot of support and you're going to feel the level ups, or if things are going wrong, or you're really just like, I'm not feeling any support at all, whatever, there's a few things I want to say to that. One is there's always support, which is hard for me to sometimes accept, because when things are going wrong, I don't want to look at it as like, oh, but this is for me. It's so great. Like it's helping me become, fuck you, man. It's hard what you're going through, or things are just not working out. So there's that, but also, so look where you're already supported, basically. When you feel like you're stuck, or that there's no options, or that you don't have support or whatever, if you focus on what you don't have, you're always going to get that. So if you focus on what you do have, like where you do have support, even if it is just like saying, you know what, I am my higher self has my back, that is my support, no matter what I'm going through, whatever. So when you just got to widen the channel so that more support can come in. And the way to widen it is to see where you already have it, even abundance, you know, that kind of, or like manifestations. If people are running into blockages with that, it's like, you know, where do you already have what you want, you know? And as you see where you are already successful, that's a frequency. And as you embody that frequency, that channel just gets wider and wider. So more and more and more comes in. So there's that. The third thing I want to say about that is just look at where you're getting in your own way. Or maybe you're, oh, sirens. Just as I was about to say, maybe you are the energy vampire. and you really need to rethink some stuff. So you just use your discernment, see where you are. It's a lot of hard conversations with yourself if you are the energy vampire. I have had those conversations with myself, so I know it's not very fun. And the parts of me that were, you know, staying in victimization and trying to make my problems someone else's problems, all kinds of everything. It's like, just take a look at where you might be the vampire. And I love you, because it's not your fault that you are the energy vampire. Like I said, I have it too. It's not anything that I'm trying to be above. But if you need to look at where you are being an energy vampire. So basically that's what's happening. The people who've been, like, chosen to push forward and move through the fear or whatever, move through the blockages and have started a new thing in April, if there's going to be a more of a split where it's like people are going to be supported, and the people who are going to be, who tried to block you or who have been, you know, energy vampiring, that kind of thing, they're starting to get their karma. And shit's hitting the fan, because we see it on a worldwide stage as well as this. And that's another thing about August and September. Yes, it's going to be our choice points individually, but it's going to be pretty explosive in the world. And I know I said this last stream where I said the rest of this year is going to be pretty explosive. It's going to be like, expect the unexpected. Like, it's going to be shit that you did not even expect or didn't see coming at all. And on the world stage, like leadership changes, stuff I don't know yet, but it's going to be, just keep an eye out. And don't be afraid of anything. That's one of the reasons that I like to talk about these things, because it's like, these are things that are coming up. So it's not to instill fear, it's to just have you be aware of everything. So when stuff does happen, it's like, okay, this is part of the plan. Don't worry about it. We're safe. It's going to be fine. It's going to be tumultuous, but like, birth is messy, and we're in the middle of all of that. So the last, I don't know, maybe it was like the 7-7 to the 8-8 portal, where I have just been feeling like I've been slowly peeling away from an old karmic reality, and that I have a new role now, and I don't necessarily know how that's going to show up or what that actually is. But the peeling away from the old karmic reality, that's the kind of thing I mean, where astrology is going to change, because the Hellenistic astrology, at least, I think Vedic astrology is very different and probably more accurate in a lot of ways. But I don't know enough about it to just kind of really go into it all that much. But Hellenistic astrology feels like the instruction manual to the inverted matrix. I may have said this before, but regardless, I'll just say it again. So it feels like the instruction manual to the inverted matrix, which is what we're living in right now. And so when the Mars-Saturn opposition or whatever, for example, happens, it's like, or there's Mercury retrograde. You know what? I don't even go to the opposition. I'll do the Mercury retrograde. It's like, I've been feeling this motherfucker so hard. And to me, what that feels like is I'm feeling it so hard because I'm being removed from that karmic reality that is road mapped by the Hellenistic astrology. And so when I move into this new role that I'm in, that I don't know exactly what it looks like or what's going to involve or whatever, when I move into that, I'm not necessarily going to be affected, or maybe as affected, by the old astrology transits. But I still like to, I don't think I'm going to stop studying astrology by any means, because I think that's going to help other people. Like, when I talk about it, it's going to help other people kind of figure out how to navigate what's coming, and then so that they can start to unpeel or peel away from those old karmic realities themselves. So that's what we're moving into, is a reality that's not tied to old karma. That era is done, but we're just kind of flushing it out. So I don't know. I did do my first non-friend circle reading for someone this past week. I traded like a human design reading for an acupuncture appointment. And it was so fun. It was so fun, because normally what I'm doing is, like, I'm talking about these things to either my close friends or like on a stream or whatever. And I've just never really taken on a client that's not super closely tied to me. And so it was really fun to sort of level up in that way. And it was, so what I did was I took a whole bunch of notes, because my one line in my human design, the one line is like, we go down rabbit holes. We're always afraid we don't know enough. We're like, the one is like the foundation. So we're like the first floor of the house, and we're kind of like, okay, where are the cracks? Where are the holes? Let me just fill in all of the blanks. We want to make sure to have a good foundation so that, like, nothing falls apart as we're building the house. And so that's why it's a little bit of a fear-based line, because we're just very afraid. Well, like, we don't want the foundation to crack. So we're always like, we need more information. We need more information. And it can get shadowy in that way, where it's like, you do know enough. Stop freaking out. There are no holes in the foundation. And if there are holes, you get to fill them in with knowledge. So like, for example, I was like, okay, if he asked me a question that I don't know how to answer, that's okay. Because that's one of the things I'm afraid of. Like, I want to be an expert, and I'm constantly comparing myself to other people because they know more. And I'm like, oh, but I'm not as good as them. So I'm a terrible, like, I'm not good enough to do this. Or it's like, you are good enough. You do know enough. And that's been one of my soul lessons. So I was really proud of myself for doing this because I wasn't nervous, but I did have, I don't know what the word is. It's not quite nervousness, but I care a lot. I wanted to make sure to give him exactly like all the information that I possibly could, because I love it when people learn about themselves. It's like blueprints. It's like the permission slip to be yourself. This astrology, the human design is kind of what I'm moving into, because the precision of it is so nice. And I love astrology still too. It's like, the poetry and all it's so good. And I know there are transits in human design, like when the gates are defined by the sun, or there's like, I know all that, but I don't know how to read those yet. So I'm just going to do my whole balance act of like, I speak both languages for now. And so anyway, yeah, I was like, okay, I want to do so I took all these fucking notes and I took my computer. And what happened is, like, when I pulled up my notes, and I gave him a handout, like a printout of the information that I was going to be working through, just so he could follow along and have all the, if you wanted to write stuff down. And I knew, like, I'm not going to read from, like I said, like I have notes here, but I don't read from it straight. Like it's kind of like reminding me of like, okay, I do want to talk about this, and then I'll just vibe off of the information, see what comes out. So I was planning on doing that too. But what happened when I opened up my notes on my computer, they were so small. Like the font I was like, I couldn't figure out how to, I just had this moment where I was like, I guess I'm just going to talk or try and read these small notes. Like, so basically all the stuff I was afraid of forgetting, I was like, okay, I got to write all this stuff down so then I can like look at it when I'm talking. I did it all from memory and or just my own understanding. Like, having taken the notes, it kind of went, and I was listening to my class lectures again, like, all this stuff. It's like, okay, having done that, I soaked it in. And also I know it already, because like I have lived a lot of this stuff. So I understand the differences between like an undefined sacral center and a defined sacral. So because I have a defined one, and so I know what it's like to have one, and I can speak from that experience. So I was really doing even more of an amazing job than I was giving myself credit for, because I was like, I didn't look at my notes at all. And so then he would ask questions and this and that, and I could answer most of them. And some of the ones that he was asking, I was like, okay, I haven't re-listened to those class lectures yet, but I want to come back for another reading and go into some of those deeper layers of stuff, like go over all of the centers that are undefined for you, because I only did a couple different things to show him that he was this type of being and this is the energy that he has and whatever. So it was really, I felt normal, which is weird because normally I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous, or like even afterwards, I'm like, my heart's beating, or I'm just like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I did a good job. Like I didn't feel any of that. I just felt like, I did my thing. I'm really proud of myself. And it was just kind of like a non-heightened version of, it was like I was talking to a friend. I was like, oh my gosh, I actually did this well. And it wasn't perfect, but perfection is not the goal necessarily. And that this is where my Virgo placements are like, what do you mean perfection is not the goal? And perfection can be the journey. It's like perfection is a part of the journey, as well as, whatever end result. There is no real end result for most of the stuff, because we just the journey never ends kind of stuff. So finding the perfection in building all the things you're doing towards this end goal or whatever. So it was a good exercise for what I think I'm moving into, because part of this studio space that I'm going to be moving into is taking on clients. And I thought I wasn't going to be doing that. Like the past few, since I woke up in 2020, I was like, oh, once I got enough, what I thought was enough, knowledge and practice and this stuff, I was like, I made a website. I was like, here are my sessions. Here's this, whatever. And I never really got any hits off of it. And so eventually, because once I didn't have a job anymore, I was like, well, I'm not going to pay for the website if I can't, I don't have the money to pay for anything. So I let the website go, and I was like, okay, well, I guess having clients is not for me, because again, the my fifth line in human design, fifth line is meant for the masses, and whatever that even means. I'm not saying I'm like world leader famous or whatever, but like I am meant to do things like this, like get on the stream and allow the broadcast to go out to anyone who's listening. And so I'm meant to speak to I almost said congregation. I'm really painting this like preacher profile for myself, and which makes sense. The Sagittarius 10th house, it is the preacher. And 10th house, for anyone who doesn't know, is your reputation. It's like it's how you're known and like your public image, all kinds of, it's more stuff. But like, anyway, so it just makes sense. So anyway, I'm meant to be speaking to a lot of different people. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess it's just not in my soul plan to have client sessions for individuals. And I've been hearing other people talk about stuff where it's like, this time period it's sort of a revisiting of what you thought maybe you weren't going to do, or things that you thought would never happen, or things you've been asking for, or whatever. And it's like, okay, you had given up on a lot of those things that you thought you were working towards in the past few years. And now all of a sudden it's like, actually, you are going to be doing these things, or you are going to be getting these things, or whatever. And so I was like, oh, we are doing some private sessions, which I think is pretty awesome, because I want to be in the community. I want to get to know the people in my place. And what better way to do that than to actually start to connect with individuals? So I'm really excited to do that. I don't know how it's I feel like I'm really much better at doing word of mouth stuff, or like marketing is not necessarily a thing I know how to do there's always a way to do marketing that's in alignment. And I know, so like the promos that I'm making for my streams, that's marketing, and that is in alignment. Like, I have fun with those. And so it's like, I can do marketing in that way. But as far as like client sessions and stuff, I feel like word of mouth is the way that I want to operate, and it would be better. So I think the women that I'm working with in this little circle of a coven, I was calling it a coven just because I thought it was amazing. I love that word. So this coven of mine, like, when we met together to kind of open the space and kind of get to know each other, and we had a little cacao ceremony and all, it was really, really beautiful. And it turned into like a planning session. We were talking about all the things that we could do, and it was cool to see everyone's, strengths and superpowers, like, energy healing, or like gut health, or like, aura fixing. Like, this one person can see like holes in your aura, and like that would correspond to pain in your physical body, and so she can kind of work on that aura thing and heal the pain in your physical body. Like, this shit is so cool. I can't do that. But one of the other things that I was able to unlock was my own little special sauce, which I think I talked about last stream. But anyway, I do have my own, or maybe I didn't, I don't know, but I have my own. I recently have unlocked my own little, I call it KK special sauce of energy work, which it's a little bit of, it's kind of like Reiki, but it's also working with the Akashic Records energy, but it's also scalar energy, which I'm not even sure what that is. That word just keeps popping into my head. So I know it's some sort of, for me, it shows up as this like not golden, but like a dusky yellowish. It's really beautiful. And it's very cheerful. It's very just like, okay, where do you want me to go? And I'll do the healing this. And so I don't know what all it entails, but it's at least a few of those things. And so I know that I can do the energy work in that way. So anyway, it was just really cool to hear what everyone else could do. And I finally also got some clarity on, like, I was like, yes, I can do spiritual counseling, which is, I don't know, if you're more spiritually minded, or if you feel like you're having an awakening, like, you'll understand what that means. But if you don't understand what that means, and you're just like, I don't know, I don't want to put the spiritual shit, I have another service that I can offer that I'm calling the Akashic Tea service. And so it's kind of like one of those things where you're like, I know something's off, or something's bothering me, something. I know something. I don't know what. And so I don't know where to start even. So like, well, you can start with this Akashic tea service. And what I'm going to be doing, I even have the tea that I want to serve. I have a whole different kinds that I'm going to be bringing in. And it's just going to be, I think I'm going to serve tea with pretty much any session or whatever, because I feel like that's a really nice, grounding, casual, just chill in the living room, even though we're in a studio kind of thing. So I'm going to do it, but like, it will be it feels like a nice little ceremonial ceremonial grounding energy to have with this Akashic tea services. And so channeling the Akashic records, and if people don't know what the Akashic records are, it's there are religions who refer to it as the book of life, or it's basically, it's a dimension. It's kind of like the cosmic internet, basically. And there are these beings called akashic records keepers who you can channel them, and they will give you information. You ask the right questions, they give. It's like, I might not be explaining this very well, but anyway, it's like the cosmic internet. And I have discovered in my awakening or whatever that I am an akashic records keeper in human form. And so I have a very strong connection to the akashic records, and basically anytime anyone is with me, I am channeling for them, like working on the information that they need. And you can ask the akashic records anything. It's like Google. You're like, what's the meaning of life? What are my past lives? Anything you want to know, you can ask the akashic records. It's like, it's the fucking cosmic internet. So I was going to go into more of that, like how, but I think I'm just going to leave it at that. And maybe other stuff will come out later, but like there's more kind of more out there stuff that I'm just kind of like, well, we'll just kind of. So anyway, I'm excited because I love the akashic records. The energy is just so pure and loving. And I talked about this in my first ever stream, where it was in 2020 when I was getting my awakening, and I was like experimenting with opening the records and figuring out how to channel them and all this stuff. And for a while I thought I wasn't good enough. Like I had this experience where I was like, oh, I don't hear anything. I'm so stupid. I'm not good enough, or whatever. And I just sat there like crying, and I felt this huge wave of love hit my heart, and it was like everything, and I was still crying. I was a hot fucking mess, but I felt this beautiful energy, and I knew I was loved. I knew I was supported. They were telling me, it's like, you didn't and I figured this out a little bit later, but like they were telling me, you didn't hear anything because that's not how your system is set up for us to talk to you. You just know things. It's telepathy. It's like when you get the hits, you're like, anyway, and that's what the kinds of things that you say. And so I've been working with it, and now I understand it a lot better, but it's not like I hear things audibly, like, a voice in the room or something. It's just like a knowing. And I call it the inner Pisces soup because I have a Pisces moon and Pisces rising. And it's like all the Pisces placements are like the akashic records. Basically, it's like the all, the collective consciousness, all that stuff. So I call it my Pisces soup. And so anyway, it's just nice to have their energy with me, because I was in no state to give myself grace or love or any of that stuff. I only was beating myself up. It was terrible. And so the fact that I felt so much love, they proved themselves to me. They even played me a song, like a song popped into my head. It's one of my favorite fucking songs of all time. And I wasn't in the mood to think about music, whatever. So I got so many messages that were just like, it was calming to my nervous system. And yes, I still needed to cry and be a hot mess, but it's just one of those moments that you don't forget in throughout these awakening processes, when you feel the love of the universe like that. It's just, it gives you hope and faith that everything is going to be okay, because that's the natural state of things, that everything is okay. And that even as you move through insane, turbulent craziness, everything is still okay. And so anyway, if anyone needs to feel okay, that's what the Midnight Diners were. Like I'm literally, as the Akashic Records Keeper, I am giving you the Akashic wisdom. And I also have this human part. Like I really want to talk about that, because like in the spiritual awakenings, as you're finding your superpowers and all kind, like you're channeling this, or unlocking energy work or whatever, it's easy. And I've been in this traps too. It's easy to just forget that there's also a human part of you, and that human part also has intuition and gnosis and all kinds of things that it can draw on. And so like I have the spiritual talking to the cosmic internet part of me, but I also have this human self that is deeply tied to the earth and the earth's wisdom. You don't just get wisdom from the stars or different dimensions, like whatever. You get wisdom from the earth. She is her own consciousness, and she has been there, done that. She's got some shit she knows and is wise about. And so if you listen listen to her, and you can listen to her through the trees or the birds or the flowers, or just, I mean, she is everything, you know, and you can just, I can, again, it's more like telepathy for me, where I can just feel her energy. And sometimes she does show up for me in like a human type form. Like my favorite one was the like late 20 something blonde gamer chick. She showed up as, and yes, like she's totally total babe showing up with this total babe, but she had these ancient eyes, and you were just like, I felt all this love from her. And also she was explaining, you know, like, yes, she is hosting this game, for lack of a better word, which is why she showed up as a gamer to me. And it was one of those days where I was having like a hard time feeling like I mattered, or that anything was worth anything, or whatever. I was like, why am I even here? Like, Earth doesn't know who I am. There's like a trillion, whatever the fuck, people on this earth. How is she going to know me? And she immediately popped into my head as this gamer chick. And she was like, not everyone comes here. This is not a safety school. This is like elite gamer stuff, elite soul stuff. And I am a master gamer. And I am a master gamer partly because I have played all sides. I have played the dark side. I am now playing the light side, but I'm really not even either one at this point. I'm like that cosmic neutrality. And so I can hold both of them. And so when you can hold both like that, you know, I am a masterclass soul, and everyone who is, I always feel watched. I felt watched throughout my entire life. I'm getting a ringing in my ear. That's interesting. Even when I was a kid, I would just be like, I didn't know who was watching me. I was just like, I just feel like I'm under observation, And so again, during this awakening or whatever, I realized that the beings, or whoever, the souls that were watching me, are watching me play this game, and they signed up to watch me play this, you know, in other dimensions, you know, whatever, even, and you might, the reason you were drawn to me, drawn to watching this stream, is because I am holding this masterclass space, and that's what the Midnight Diner is. And you are learning from my experience and knowledge and gnosis, whatever. And that's not to say that I'm done learning. Like, the reason I have opened this space is, yes, to share everything that I know, but any good teacher is going to know that they are also a forever student. And so this is a very Socratic school space, whatever, where it's like the questions we ask each other, the tidbits of information we share with each other. It's like, I'm going to learn from you just as much as you're going to learn from me. And so this is not a hierarchy thing. When I say I'm a masterclass soul, it's just a fact. And we are all masters at some level. It's not, again, linear time is real because we're experiencing it, but like, our souls exist outside of time. And so we're kind of in different stages of evolution, depending on what part of existence we're kind of experiencing at this time. So anyway, I've been playing this game for a very long time, soul-wise, and so I have some shit that I can share, and hopefully it helps you along your own path. And I love being at the Midnight Diner. I love having our coffee and pie and weird shenanigans. Aquarius full moon. We are the weirdos, mister. So anyway, I don't really know why I got off on all that, but I did. And I'm just going to check. Oh yeah, the leveling up from the stuff that we started in April. Yeah, I said, September is going to be lit. So I don't really even know. I don't know what, but something is coming, and it feels financial related. It's also, they only have so many plays. They got finance, they got aliens, they got, you know, war, you know, they only have so many plays. So all these things are going to be like, okay, yeah, we see your playbook. Like, what else do you got up your sleeve? Nothing? Okay, cool. Because we're going to go build something else that's even better. So whatever. So September, I almost said ancestral because I was looking at my dream. We're also in the middle of a massive ancestral purge. And so this ties into the stuff that's, you know, feels like it's starting in September, because I had a dream last week, whenever. I just had a recent dream There was so much poop in that dream. I just tell you. And usually when I'm dreaming about poop or whatever, it's like a purge. You're clearing out like the public bathrooms. I know I've talked about this in other streams, but there was a massive amount of sewage in this dream. And I was in my grandparents' house, and it was also the pirate ship that I used to live in, which is my, you know, the farm that my mom owns. Anyway, so I knew whenever I'm at the Midnight Diner or the pirate ship house stuff in my dreams, I know it's purging ancestral stuff. And by that, I mean everything you've inherited from your ancestors, like the scarcity, the lack, thinking you're not good enough, that life is hard, that, you know, whatever you've inherited, like, you know what I'm saying? Like all the limiting beliefs that we've inherited from, and all the trauma, honestly. Water carries memory, and we are, you know, whatever, however big percentage water, 80%, something. I feel like the percentage changes every time I hear someone else talk about it. I'll just go with 80% because I like it. So the water carries the memory of our trauma, and it includes even like earth trauma, you know, like we've been here, we've experienced, we're all connected in the same ecosystem. We are all one. Humans are the only ones that think of ourselves as separate. It's like, because I've seen myself through the tree's eyes, and they showed me it was like I'm this walking ball of light, or like this form of light, but I'm connected to it's like everything is light, and it just has different properties, but we're all connected to the same system. So anyway, we're carrying all these programs, all the everythings, and by now you know what you're purging ancestrally. Like I am purging fear and scarcity, you know. What else am I purging? It doesn't really matter. We'll go into it. But so anyway, this dream of mine that had a massive amount of, and that's kind of what I feel like I am peeling away from, like that type of thing. It's like I have done the work I need to do to remove those programs from my system, and now it's up to everybody else. Like I'm doing my own thing now, you know? And I don't, again, like I said, I don't, in a previous stream, I don't think there will come times where I do have other things to clear. It's not like I don't really know exactly what the future holds, but I do know that it is going to be joyful, blissful, amazing, whatever. But this also is a very transitionary time. It's a very messy time, shedding the old skin, moving into this new chapter. So in my lifetime, and I think we're going to be living a lot longer, like in my lifetime, we're going to be living longer than maybe hundreds of years, I think. And I just feel that. I've heard other people talk about it, and it resonates. And again, it's up to each individual soul. So if you only came here to be a certain age and then you are done with this game and you go to do something else, or maybe you just are done with this fucking energy. Because I feel like 2027 is one of those mile markers where it's like people are probably going to be checking out of the game between now and 2027, and maybe through 2027. I'm just getting senses here. I'm open to being wrong, but this is what I feel right now. And so there will be, and by checking out, I mean shedding your physical form. So it's death, but it's not death for the soul, because the soul goes on to do other things. It's just done with this incarnation. And so people didn't necessarily come here to experience the new energy that's going to be hitting the planet in 2027. They want to do something different. And so they'll go off and do that. Some people incarnated, you know, kind of early on in this game. And so by the time 2027 hits or whatever, they're like, they've had a lifetime of trauma and like all this kind of shit. So they're like, you know, some of the choices could be like, I'm going to shed my physical form and then reincarnate back on Earth, but when it's actually fun to be here, you know? And so we're working towards that Star Trek future. And I do want to reiterate that the Star Trek future does not just include technology stuff and spaceships and stuff. It includes the Lemurian part of this, which is very Earth-centric. We will be living in sync with nature, and we're gonna, I'm getting goosebumps. Our bodies are in the middle of these upgrades, and we're becoming, you know, we are carbon based now. We're becoming crystalline based, and Mainstream science is not going to tell you any of this stuff. So if you think I sound crazy, go ahead. That's fine. But I'm gonna speak what I know. And so anyway, we're becoming these crystalline beings, and as we do that, we're going to really finally see that we are connected to everything, and we're moving towards this group consciousness. And so as we become more crystalline, which is happening pretty fucking quickly, all the ascension symptoms that you're feeling, like we call it the ascension flu for a reason. You feel like you have the flu, but you don't really, but like, or you're massively purging, like, you know, my teeth ache a lot. Like there's channels in the teeth, consciousness channels in the teeth and the sinuses. And like, I'll get headaches a lot. And, you know, I feel my kidneys doing shit. My spine still feels kind of wonky from all the tick bite stuff. And it's all the physical symptoms. We can't really, if you go to a Western doctor, they're gonna be like, oh, we need to pump you full of drugs or whatever. And that's not what you need to do. You need to be like thinking outside the box more and being like, okay, some of these crazy people talking about ascension symptoms, what if it's that? And that's more holistic, like doing things like acupuncture and tinctures and, you know, other kinds of energy work like Reiki and all that stuff. They're recognizing that Reiki actually changes your cellular structure. So I think you have to actually report if you've had Reiki when you go to a hospital, because it literally matters, because it actually works. And anyway, we won't go into all that. But so yes, Star Trek Future does include Space Force type, you know, Enterprise spaceships or whatever. But also it's going to be a lot more like, we're going to be seeing energies. We're going to see the tree energy. Like we're going to be, it's just going to be wild. It's going to feel like you're on mushrooms, even though you're not on mushrooms. And you're going to be like, I am connected to the all. And that's going to be our natural state of being. So we're kind of gradually ramping up into this. So anyway, we're working towards that future. And it's going to happen a lot sooner than you think, which is why I think I'm talking about this. Okay, I do see a chat. BG Dominion, back again. Last time you didn't read any messages. I thought you might show up again today. I was wondering how I was going to handle some of this stuff. So, right. Like I said last time, in my chat, I said, I'm going to hide the chat for this one episode so I can practice getting the things out that I need to get out. Because when I'm editing my episodes and I see myself losing my train of thought because I'm distracted by the chat, I really want me to finish my train of thought. So I thought, let me just experiment with hiding the chat and doing a Q&A afterwards. Clearly you missed that, which is totally fine. This is not a dog pile on anybody, but you are the example because you are here. Also, this is my channel. I can do whatever I want. And I do want to also address one thing that you have very graciously provided. And again, this is nothing, don't take this personally, but this is in general for the messages. And earlier in this very stream, I did talk about this, like holding a space open as a Socratic type of school where, yes, I am the teacher, I'm this masterclass soul, but I am also learning from all of you. And so you are here as a mirror for me. So I thank you for your service to be this mirror for me. And I do want to say that a lot of times when people come into these chats of these spiritual people, of people like me who are given the wisdom or whatever, if you're not really engaging with the material and you're only asking personal questions, like, which is fine. First of all, I love out of the box questions. Throw me anything. I love to go on tangents. It's great. But also there is a time where if the stuff that I'm talking about doesn't really resonate with you, or you're not really getting much out of it and all you want to do is ask personal questions, that's totally fine. You're going to have to book a session with me and pay my hourly rate, and we can do all the things you need to do. Or you can start to engage with the material that I have and ask questions about that, or contribute original thoughts. I know you have them. Everybody does. We've been brainwashed to think that we don't, and that we have to listen to outside authorities. And so if you get in touch with your own inner wisdom and start to really think about these things, just figure out stuff that may spark your interest and ask questions about the material I'm presenting, or contribute an original thought. Like, oh, you said this, it made me think of this, whatever. So, no, I did not read your messages at the time that you typed them, but I did read them afterwards, which is what I'm trying to do a little bit right now, which is where I'm trying to get a good balance. I have never done this before, okay? And so as I get used to how to do these streams, I understand there is a good level of engagement to have with the chat, and I want to do that because I am here for you guys. If you don't show up, what am I even doing? So I understand. But also, I'm going to do what I need to do to get out the information that I need to get out and that I want to get out. And so hopefully you have awesome questions today or original thoughts that you would like to contribute. And I would love to have a discussion with you. If you are even still here, maybe I just turned you off and you leave and you never come back. And I bless you and wish you well along the way. I want people to be here because they want to be here and not because of any other reason, really. Like, I don't know what other reasons they would be. But anyway, please do feel free to ask questions. And this time, let's try to ask questions about the material that I'm talking about. So anyway, I love you. Lots of love. Again, not trying to dogpile on anybody, but the mirrors that present themselves to me, prompt me to respond in ways so that I can be clear for everyone. And I need to also be clear for myself. That's a lot of times what happens. It's like, if you're not clear on your own stuff, if you don't know how to express it in some way, then, it won't manifest as well. And you'll have a lot of confusion and a lot of whatever. But when you're able to speak out what you can do or what you're aware of or what you're trying to build, which is why that cacao ceremony with my 4 friends was so valuable, because I was able to be like, oh, you know what? I do this, this, and this, period. And I was like, oh, I've never actually been able to, because usually when people ask me what I do, I'm just like, I don't know. I'm like this trash goddess. I'm like priestess of the underworld, like pirate queen. What does that mean though? And so I know what it means, but expressing what it means helps draw the people in who are supposed to be with you. So that's what I'm doing. Like I said, lots of love if you are even still here. But anyway, this is also kind of interesting energy for what I want to talk about next, which is the eclipse season coming up. So we've got this Aquarius full moon right now. The next lunation in 2 weeks is the Virgo eclipse. I'm too tired to remember what the fuck it is. I think it might be the lunar eclipse. Whatever it is, Virgo. And so, because it started Virgos, it must be the new moon. So it's, okay, it's a lunar eclipse. So we're going to have the Virgo eclipse. An eclipse season ain't no joke. And so what I wanted to do, and they happen every 6 months. It's not like these are, but they're no joke. And that's why there's a lot of mythology and a lot of, superstition around eclipses. It's like, don't go out the baleful rays. A lot of people call them, it's like, oh, don't go out in the baleful rays of the sun, of the eclipse. Because it usually signifies great change, great endings, great beginnings. Eclipses are always like opening one door, closing another door, like the shedding is off the charts. And so it's dynamic and it's really awesome, but it doesn't always feel awesome, in the moment because sometimes it can feel like, and I think I remember saying this when I first started my stream, like one of the first episodes, because we had the Aries eclipse back in one of my first episodes. And I was like, you know how when you break a bone and it's set wrong, so you have to re-break the bone to set it correctly? That's what eclipses can feel like sometimes. You're just re-breaking this bone to set. So it's good because you don't want your bones to be out of alignment or whatever. But like, ouch, it is really fucking painful. So anyway, great endings, great beginnings. And so eclipses are typically tied, not always, because again, we've kind of, we're going to have like an Aquarius eclipse in February next year, even though the nodes are not in Aquarius yet. And so what I want to do is give a little bit of background on what I mean by the nodes. It's the lunar nodes. And the lunar nodes it's not a planet or an asteroid or anything. It's a mathematical point in the sky where the sun's orbit meets the moon's orbit. They're always in opposite signs and they always move backwards through the zodiac. So that's why it's like we did have one in we had the lunar nodes in Aries and Libra, and then we're moving backwards into Pisces. So we're now, as of January, what was it? I think it was 111. It was like January 11th, real new beginnings era. 111, start of the new cycle, and angel number on top of it. The nodes moved into Pisces and Virgo. Nodes stay in their signs for 18 months. So usually we get a transition to a lunar node, new lunar node sign in January, and then the next 18 months would be like July-ish. So usually January, and then the following July, we get big energy changes. And so the Pisces Virgo eclipse is showing us where we're still holding on to self-victimization, delusions, self-destructive behaviors, patterns, habits, a lot of perfectionism or overly critical of self and others, making plans and being stuck to those plans instead of moving with so Pisces is the dream. Virgo brings that dream into reality. And to me, it's the most spiritual of all the axis in the zodiac. And that's not to say that other signs aren't spiritual. It's just so, because Virgo finds the spirituality and the ritual and the magic in everyday activities, like washing the dishes, weeding the garden, smiling at your neighbor, like whatever you're doing, it's like there is magic literally every day, no matter what you're doing. So to me, it just feels like this beautiful spiritual axis. And so the nodes in Vedic astrology are referred to as the dragon's head and the dragon's tail. The north node is the dragon head. South node is the dragon tail. And if you need help remembering, a south node is known, but Judith Hill is an astrologer who calls the south node the great anus of the zodiac. And so the tail poops out all the stuff that we've been stuck on in that particular energy sign. So the south node is in Virgo, and we're pooping out all the things, all the shadowy sides of Virgo, like the perfectionism, overly critical, sticking to plans, not seeing the magic in every day, that kind of stuff. So we're pooping that out. But so the north node, the head, the dragon's head, drinks in the fresh juice. So the Pisces has the north node in it right now. And so we're drinking in the fresh Piscean juices of dreaming big. Our imagination matters, connect to your superpowers, your spirituality, connect to the all, find the magic in those ways. But the nodes are also both malefic. And you can see that so it's not like the north node is better because it's fresh energy, blah, blah, blah. Because the south node, where Virgo is, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's wisdom to Virgo. We're just flushing out the shadowy sides of that. And so you can see that both of the nodes are malefic, because if you're on a juice cleanse, for example, you're drinking all this juice to flush out whatever, you can drink too much juice and flush out good bacteria. So you don't, the lunar nodes are kind of showing us where the imbalances are in all of these things. And so we can come into more of a balance. So by the time the lunar nodes move, at the end of the transit, I'm usually just fuck these nodes, man. I know all my lessons. Get me the fuck out of here. 18 months is too long for this shit. So it really can just be oh my God. And so you can feel, a lot of times towards the end of the transits, I'll just be yep, I can feel how they're both malefic right now. So anyway, yes. So our eclipses, this is in September, we're going to have 2 eclipses. The first one's going to be in Virgo. The second one's going to be a Pisces full moon. So the first one's the 7th of October, 7th of September. And then I think the 14th or 15th or something, 2 weeks later-ish, whenever that full moon is, then we'll have, so September not only just feels big energetically, period, but it's amped up this year because the eclipses are happening. And so the lunar nodes, anyway, so it's just going to be, it's going to be very interesting. So I wanted to do that explanation so that I could, so now eclipses, lunar nodes, as I talk about these things. Okay, chat. I know that the planets and star location have influence on our thoughts and feelings, but I think that we must be the masters of our feelings, thoughts, and destiny. For example, if my life is good and my day too, but the planets, location, and stars are in a bad position, I wouldn't want my life or my day to be bad, and my life completely depends on these things. Brilliant. Yes, you got to the point I was going to It's like you're reading my mind. Beautiful. So the planets and the stars. So astrology is just a roadmap. It doesn't control anything. The planets don't control our destiny, whatever. It's just instruction manuals of like this type of energy. Like when these planets are in conversation in this way, when they're in a square, for example, a square is like get off the couch and move energy. It's like you have a pebble in your shoe. You can't keep walking. You got to take the pebble out. So a square is a bad, or it's a challenging aspect, but it's up to you to make your life. It's like it helps get your life in order. It helps align you with your destiny. And again, it ties in with the lunar nodes. And you talk about the thoughts, feelings, and destiny. It's like the lunar nodes are tied to our destiny. Wherever they are in your chart shows you what your kind of life path is. It's very, my south node is conjunct my sun, so I very much identify with the lunar nodes, and I know a lot about them, but not everybody, like I could do a reading with just your sun, moon, rising, and your nodes, and that would just be we could talk for hours about just that. But yes, when they're in a bad, quote unquote, bad position, you can choose to see the perspective that's like, but it got me where I needed to go. Like I needed to get rid of this thing, or I needed to make this change, or I needed to end this relationship, whatever happens. And so it's all for the good. And so it's brilliant because yeah, you just go on about living your life, doing the best you can every day. And then the planets are just going to show you what the energies are in the collective. And like I said at the beginning of the stream, we're moving away from that karmic reality. Hellenistic astrology feels very much like tied to that old matrix that we're kind of exiting. So astrology is going to change massively. I don't know how right now. I don't know what it's going to look like because, again, I can see the future, but only like impressions of things that are happening. And so the details get filled in because this is supposed to be a surprise to me as much as, like if you knew everything, what fun would it be? So a lot of these things I am also uncovering, but the senses I get is that astrology is going to be so different. And not just because we're discovering other planets. Like I talked about in my last stream, we just discovered this planet with a 25,000 year orbit, which is by far the longest orbit we've ever seen. It doesn't even have a name. The planet doesn't have a name yet. Ooh, that reminds me also about the comet that's coming in, the 3I Atlas or whatever the fuck it's called. And there's so many narratives about what that is. And like, it's an interstellar, it's like one of 2 or 3 interstellar objects that we've discovered. Like this is very rare. And so there's a lot of talk about how it's like I think I've heard people talk about how it's like a negative alien invasion or some shit or like this and that. I don't know. I think that it's bringing in codes from wherever the fuck it traveled interstellarly, whatever that word is. And it's bringing in our codes and anchoring in more information on this planet. So to me, it feels like, and I think there's something, it's doing something with Mars. I don't know if it's coming really close to Mars or like eclipsing Mars, whatever it's doing with Mars. To me, that feels like it's rewriting our Martian story. And Mars is tied to war and aggression, all kinds of things. But Mars is also the divine masculine. It's like your leadership. And Mars, when I talk about these, shadowy sides, those are just the shadowy sides. Mars is really, and I have been in 2 Mars-ruled years and gotten I'm really getting to know my Martian energy. And I've always had a problem with Martian energy. Like as I've studied astrology and been like, oh, I've seen, how this Mars energy shows up in my life. And I've not dealt with it very well at all. And because I have a day chart, Mars is my malefic that has the most energy. Like if you have a night chart, Mars is actually on your side more. Anyway, extra information, let it wash over you if it doesn't make sense. But anyway, Mars has always been like really tough on me. And so now that I've been in these 2 Mars-ruled years, I can see the positives of it. And I can see where my negative, shadowy sides of this Mars stuff is like, I'm flushing it out and embodying the divine, my own divine masculine energy is very divine. And it's helping me be a leader that I want to be. And so I think that this comet is bringing in really cool information. Who knows? We're going to see, but I'm curious what the external narratives are going to be. I've heard, I think anything, like I said, every time if something tries to get you to feel fear, that ain't real. That is a narrative that is benefiting someone else. So don't follow the fear. Just be curious about things. Have discernment. All right. So anyway, that's some of the astrology, the eclipses. So we're really going to be, let me just double check that yeah, big changes in September. Oh yeah, the coming years, can I do palm readings? No, actually, I've never done palm readings, but one of the girls I'm working with, women, I just say girls because it's just so fun and cute, but she's my, anyway, but she can do it. So we're opening this whole coven of people who can do like palm readings and all kinds of really cool energy stuff. So once we get our little coven settled up, I can give you the information of the person in case you want to book a reading with her, because she's really cool. And I'm going to have her, I'll do an energy exchange with her. Like I'll do something with her so that she can do my palm reading because I really want to do it. It seems like really fun. I also want to have my coffee grounds read. I have another friend who's like, you drink Turkish coffee or Armenian or whatever big would keep the grounds in the cup. And so you drink it and then you turn, when you're done drinking, you turn the cup over and look at the grounds and see the patterns in the grounds. You can get messages from that. I fucking love that stuff. I've never done it, but I want my friend to do that for me. But yeah, the next few years and the cartoonishly villainous extremes, basically, we are seeing it right now where there's big extremes either way. Like like I said, it's cartoonish at this point. And the cartoonish extremes that we're going to be seeing over these next few years are, again, opportunities for us to either embody our new selves or to keep buying into the fear and the old matrix narratives. So what we're seeing this year, it's not really going to let up. I mean, it is as you take your energy away from it, because right now the stuff that's happening, it's not like it doesn't affect me. Because again, I'm human. I have emotions. I have very big emotions, but I also see the bigger picture. And so I'm not buying into the fear narrative. I fucking refuse, because I know that I am full of love, and so is my higher self. I mean, I am my higher self. And that's the kind of community I'm building, is one that's full of love and not fear. So if you're sick of the extremes, sorry, they're going to continue, but also it's for everybody to withdraw their energy from those old fear narratives and to be a better person. And so we're going to see a lot of really gross examples of humanity because, one, Pluto and I think I might have mentioned this last stream, Pluto in Aquarius is going to expose the dark underbelly of society. And we have to look at it or we can't fix it. We have to see how bad it got so that we never do this again. And as a species, we're going to be teaching our galactic brothers and sisters about the experience that we've had here, the brainwashing, the propaganda, like all the insane shit that we have been through as a collective on this earth throughout the whole history of this. We're going to be able to teach about this. And so going through, that's kind of what Chiron, the wounded healer in your astrology chart, it's like where your deepest wounds are. It's like we're going to be the Chiron of this experience that we've had on this planet. And it's a lot. It's crazy. Like the dark underbelly is being exposed, and the people who are, labeled conspiracy theorists, they're the ones exposing it. So we can all fucking see it. But anyway, it's going to be gnarly, but it's going to be fine. Just withdraw your energy from that. Okay. Oh, and that's tied into the dragon ley lines. So Rory Duff, I know I mentioned him on another stream and how he can dowse for energy lines on Earth. The dragon ley lines have awoken fully as of the end of last year, as of the solstice, the winter solstice last year. And so, one, that's really cool because, dragon energy, I am a dragon, I fucking love dragons, like, here we go, roar, let me loose kind of thing. But I also got the feeling that the dragon ley lines, one of the reasons we're seeing all these extremes and the grossness is because those dragon ley lines dismantled a lot of the old circuitry that was keeping the inverted matrix afloat and like in operation. And so because the circuitry is coming down, that means the illusions are becoming we're aware of them. We can see that it's like looking at the man behind the curtain kind of shit. And so all those lies, all the illusions, all the gnarliness, the dragon ley lines are pulsing with the original creation energy. It's like original earth energy. Like we're on this living library of a planet. and she's like, look at all the stuff that we agreed to it. We agreed to the matrix. We wanted to experience this, but it also has gone pretty far beyond what we agreed to. And so there's a lot of trickery and a lot of nastiness, and it got worse than we had actually signed up for. And so it's the dragon ley lines, I think, are just like, no more. We're going to look at everything. So a lot of shit is coming up, and thank you to the dragon ley lines, but also, holy shit. It's crazy out there. Okay, dragon ley lines. Oh, survivor's guilt. Oh, okay. Important choice points, which I already talked about. And doors are opening that we may have doubted ever would. So like, again, my my sessions, that kind of thing. But there's also survivor's guilt tied into this. Like as waves of us start to live in this new frequency that people call 5D Earth. I don't really know. Sometimes I just don't really resonate with some of this stuff, but it is a higher frequency of some kind. And it's going to be more dreamlike and really fun. So as more and more of us live in that frequency, there are those people we care about that aren't there yet. And so if you're dealing with survivor's guilt in any way, like if your life is awesome, or even if parts of your life are awesome and you're just afraid to celebrate that, that keeps you in the fear. And I'm struggling with this myself. I'm not trying to make myself some whatever. Like I am also experiencing survivor's guilt because I have it's not perfect by any means, but like it is beautiful. My life is beautiful. I have amazing friends. I have this fucking garden that is just like out of this world. I'm doing things I never thought I could possibly do, that I always wanted to do, but didn't think that I could and didn't think I deserved, or, whatever. I have these people that love me that I'm just like, my life is so rich and beautiful. And I feel awful a lot of times because there are people I love so much that are not there yet. And it really hurts. And so again, I mentioned this last stream. I was like, our energies sometimes are all gnarled up with other people, and we're working on kind of like extracting ourselves, which is why sometimes you got to take a break from people, even if it's not a permanent break. Sometimes you just need space. Like I have been in isolation from almost everyone. Like I have been so alone, except for like going to work or, like whatever. But I have been so alone for a very long time. And I did not know my own energy. I needed all of that time by myself in isolation to find myself. And so as we kind of disentangle ourselves from the people whose energies are just like, we're all like this, disentangle. And so you might find yourself taking a break from people, or however it works out, and you might come back together. But either way, you have to know your own energy, and they have to know their own energy. And you come back together, and you can like hold hands instead of like being all gnarled up again. So survivor's guilt is one of those things that you kind of deal with as you're disentangling from the people that you're entangled with. And it's, again, I offer up the Midnight Diner as a refuge, as an oasis of calm and validation that you are allowed to live in joy. You are allowed to do what the fuck you want to do. You will be labeled selfish. You will be yelled at. You like whatever you're facing that feels really hard. And one of my biggest things that I've been healing from is people pleasing and being terrified of someone being mad at me. And I will fawn. I freeze and fawn. That is my trauma response. And I will just go along with whatever anybody else wants to go along with, just to keep the peace. I have Pluto in Libra natally, and so, girl, I've been working on flushing that out. And I'm not perfect at this, but I am in a lot better of a place. And it's been since April that I've really started to stand. I mean, it's been since the Mars retrograde, honestly. Like it started in December. I had some moments in January, some in February that were really just like, oh my God, talk about survivor's guilt, talk about like people pleasing wounds where it's like, I had to say no to people who asked me for help, and it felt like my heart was being ripped out of my chest. And I knew that I couldn't. And then the thing is, I'm just going over like bare minimum details here because we're still kind of working on the disentangling part. So like until I feel comfortable with where we are, and like I will give my examples, but in a more generic way. And until I can actually share more details. But if you're going through this, I understand how hard it is. And so again, offering up this refuge of the Midnight Diner where you are allowed to live in joy. And the more you wallow in joy, the more it comes in for the whole collective. And so when you're labeled selfish, yeah, Saturn in Aries. I'm not going to stop talking about Saturn in Aries because it's the 3-year transit we're going to be going through. And yes, Saturn is retrograde right now. It's still in Aries, but it's about to move back into Pisces in September. So we're going to have an energy shift there. But anyway, Saturn in Aries is radical selfishness. It's leaning into your cuntiness. It is doing what you want in the face of someone yelling at you that you shouldn't be doing this because you're ruining their life or, whatever. And you have to fill your own cup before you can do anything for anyone else. And so we hear that a lot. It's like, put your own oxygen mask on. Yeah, okay. But these transits are really pushing us to do that. And it's fucking uncomfortable. And so if you're going through this, which I feel like you are, I think we're all going through this as a collective, is like, just, you're safe to do that, like, and you can fumble around, flail around a little bit. I've done plenty of flailing where I fall back into old patterns and I'm like, damn it, why did I do that? Why didn't I just say no? I wanted to say no. And I said yes because I wanted to people please and keep the peace. I didn't want someone to be mad at me. Conflict has never felt safe to me. And I mean conflict of any kind, including dumb things like disagreeing about a restaurant I want to go to. If I'm like, oh, geez, I really don't want to eat whatever fucking Mexican food tonight. I would really prefer to go to a diner, but I'm too afraid. I'm literally too afraid to I'm like, okay, yeah, we'll just go. So lean into your cuntiness as best you can. And the energy is there to support that. It's going to give you extreme examples. Throat chakra stuff going on today, which probably means I need to be thinking about going at some point because I was going to do cards, but I don't know. I feel like this is kind of, I'll finish my notes and then we'll see where we are. If people have questions, awesome. If the cards feel appropriate, then I'll do that too. But either way. But yeah, so the choice points that we're getting in August and September are going to kind of show us that you create your own reality. And again, we've heard this stuff before, but as you really start to realize the extent of how much you create your reality, like how big, what that even means. Cause like I hear those words and I was like, yeah, whatever. But then as you realize how big of a responsibility that is, it's terrifying. And people don't want to do that. They don't want to take responsibility for their own reality. They would rather make it someone else's problem because changing themselves is too hard. There's a line in a song that I really love. It's by Carbon Leaf. Oh my God, I love that band. But there's a line that's like, I'd rather change the world than change. It's easier to change the world than it is to change me. I'm like, yeah, it's so easy. You just want everyone else to kind of, but we're not going to be able to do that anymore. The era that we're moving into, this new chapter, is us creating everything. And that's why it's going to be more fun because we're going to be like, we don't need to create in fear. We can create in love, but it's terrifying to realize that you create your own reality. So there's these choice points that we're going to be facing in August and September are going to bring up a lot of fear for people, I think, because if we claim what we want and getting to know what you want is massive key to this. And it can be scary to think about what you actually want, because it could be something you have been taught to be ashamed of, for example, or really embarrassed. Like for me, oh my God, I'm just going to say it. I've never been like a romantically, I don't date really. Like my last real relationship was back in my 20s. It's like a long time ago. And I never thought love was for me. I was like either too broken or like other people were stupid or like the whole thing just did not. I was like, it's not for me. And then again, back in 2020, when I started to wake up and I was like, wait a minute, what do I actually want? And it was so embarrassing. And I was so ashamed. Why I was ashamed, I don't know. But this is the kind of shit I'm talking about. It's like the shame isn't necessarily going to make sense to other people because they're like, of course you want that. Like, why wouldn't you? Love stories are the greatest. And I'm like, ew, love stories. They're the stupidest. Also, with my Aquarius placements, if you've ever seen a meme, my favorite meme about Aquarius is like, the first panel is like, love is in the air. And the second panel is labeled Aquarius. And it's a woman with a bag over her head. And that's me. I'm like, no, that's so embarrassing. I don't want to, whatever. So what I finally started to realize was like, I actually do want a romantic partner. Oh, what? And so I had to sit with that discomfort. And it's like claiming what you want can bring up a lot of this stuff that you've just never looked at before. And yes, it's a funny example or whatever, because it's not, but there could be other, maybe darker things, darker seeming things. Like, you know, I'm just saying, go to the depths of your soul and find what you really want and figure out the narratives around why you're not allowed to have what you really want. Because it makes you a bad person, or it will piss off this person, or it will make you unlovable, or, you know, whatever it is. So, and also it's weird, like this romantic partner thing, it feels like it's coming for me pretty soon. And so I'm just like, do I run? And so like, it might be one of my choice points coming up in September. I don't know. And if it is, it's like, do you fall into old patterns? Or do you embrace this new person and embrace the new challenges that come from being your new person, your new self? And, you know, we'll see. I will obviously keep you guys posted because I love talking about personal examples to show what you might be going through, or, you know, whatever. So get in touch with these choice points coming up. And we've been in this energy since about 2017 or 2018, whatever, when Chiron moved into Aries. It's been there since 2018. And it's like, where have you abandoned yourself for fear of being abandoned by the other? And that's what we've been exploring hardcore, because Chiron is the wounded healer. It's the original wound. Where have you abandoned yourself for fear of being abandoned by the other? And so anything that you start to admit that you want and you claim it, all those threshold guardians are going to come up and be like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? And you're going to want to punch them in the face. But just trust that all the choice points coming to you are for you, and it's going to be okay. So yeah, the other thing that's making this eclipse like super, especially the one on the 14th or whatever of September, the Pisces one, that's pretty near the equinox. And the equinox carries its own energy of like balancing. It's like the Libra equinox, the fall equinox. It's like, you know, Libra is about balance. Libra is also about people pleasing and like abandoning yourself to please the other, you know, kind of thing. And so all of this energy is coming through in September, and you're just like, woo, just watch. Just watch the world stage unfold. Watch your own life unfold. There's nothing you can do during eclipse season. I don't recommend doing, I mean, do whatever you want. Again, no authority is greater than your own. So this is my perspective, but I do not do shit during eclipse seasons. I rest as much as possible. I don't think about manifesting. I don't think about pushing or working hard or drawing things to me or trying to start shit or whatever. Eclipse season is when the curtains are drawn, the scenery is being changed in the background. And then after eclipse, it's kind of like the curtains open again and you're like, oh, that's where we're living. That's the landscape that we're, you know, whatever. And so just do your best to relax, because the Pisces North Node is getting us to flow with the universe. Like Virgo is going to make the plans, the South Node Virgo, it's going to make the plans. But the Piscean energy is going to be like, when those plans go to shit, because they probably will, it's good to have them so that you have an idea of like, this would be cool to do this. And if you never make plans, that's not good either. You know, you got to have a balance of both. And so anyway, we're going to have to flow with the universe at this time. So August is sort of like a little bit of a dress rehearsal. September is like, oh my gosh. And then we're building up to the solstice well, that's interesting that it said solar, because the solstice on the 21st of December is the birth of the light. Again, it's the darkest, it's the longest night. And then after that, well, solstice is like 3 days where the sun just kind of stops for 3 days and then it starts moving, whatever. So on that time, I always feel like, and it's, you know, Christmas or whatever is around that time, which we all know Christmas is not the real thing, but there's still energy there on the, like, for me, a few years ago on the 24th, I felt the rebirth of my own masculine energy, like the sun, like solar, but also sun, like SON, the masculine Christ consciousness, basically. I don't know why I can't talk right now. But anyway, I started to feel the rebirth of that. And so over the years after that rebirth or unearthing of my solar masculine energy, then I've recently, in the past year or so, been feeling the activations of my own, like, fully online masculine energy. So solar stuff coming back around, and like the rebirth of that. And so anyway, this fall and winter are going to be, there's a lot that's going to happen. And it's all really cool because, like I said, we're moving towards these crystalline bodies. And I've heard another person, she channeled, I forget her name, Kelly something. I will post the link to her talk, like she and Pam Gregory, the astrologer that I follow. Kelly, whatever her name is, Kelly, channels Archangel Raphael. And usually when people channel angels, it's hard for me to understand and follow. It's like the tone is weird and I'm just like, nothing makes sense. And it's, ugh. I'm like, so I don't usually listen to angel channelings. Fucking spam in the chat. But this person, this Kelly person and the Angel Raphael, he had some good shit to say. I was like, oh, this is resonant. So I'm going to link that. So one, I can give her credit. And two, so you can watch the video. It's an amazing video. Like Pam, the astrologer, is asking, you know, Angel, when the woman, like, when Angel Raphael comes into her body and she's doing the speaking, it's like Pam is asking Angel Raphael, what really amazing questions. And one of the questions was about this crystalline body coming online. And Archangel Raphael was like, you're in the embryo right now, and you're in this since the Aries eclipse. And so in periods of trimesters, which is so interesting because my teacher, who I learned astrology from, talks about the zodiac in trimester terms. So it was like really resonant with me talking about these trimesters, because it's like by the time of the winter solstice, there's going to be a birth of some kind and new bodies. I don't know if they're fully online or what is happening, but there's the next step is coming in the solstice. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be that exact day that you don't, it's like the countdown to the day. You don't have to count. It's going to happen regardless. So just let it happen. But like energy is like the most potent, like on the solstice or those 3 days surrounding the solstice, but it can play out over the next few months, you know, like whatever. So I don't know what is coming, but I know it's awesome. And I know it's going to blow our fucking minds. And that's, you know, again, we're still working through a lot of this stuff. So if you're not seeing it externally, then the people you're seeing externally aren't ready for it. But those of us who are going to see a real shift in these energies and in our own abilities and stuff, you know, coming online. And I'm just really excited. I was like, I just want my fucking memories back. Like I want access to the deeper level of Akashic records that I have inside of me as the Akashic records keeper. So even if it's just that, and I don't like suddenly sprout wings or something, like it's fine. You know, like I know that's going to happen eventually. I've already seen my energetic wings and they're really fucking amazing, but who knows when I can actually, you know, when I'll actually be able to show people. But that's not important to me right now. What is important to me is more knowledge, because I really love talking to you guys and I really love, like, you know, uncovering the truth. And so I just want more information to share. So anyway, a lot of stuff is phasing out and even more freedom is coming in. Like I did a TikTok back in January about January 20th. Sorry guys, the throat is just going to do it. It's fucking... January 20th anchored in the freedom timeline because it was the first time the sun was conjunct Aquarius. Sorry. The sun was in Aquarius conjunct Pluto for the first time in 250 years. I was like, this is real freedom ass energy. And then on July 14th, which is when the French Revolution happened, like back, it was the anniversary of the French Revolution, I could feel more freedom energy. Obviously July 4th, you know, America, more freedom, whatever. But like, and I had that masculine activation on July 4th and I was like, what the fuck? So anyway, that was cool. But also July 14th is when the new rails of the financial system went online. ISO 20022 Not going to mean a whole lot to people not in cryptocurrency world, so just whatever. But the new quantum financial system got booted up on July 14th. Real quiet. Not a whole lot of people were talking about it, except for in the crypto world, because a lot of our coins that we've invested in, coins and tokens, they run on these new rails of the financial system. The SWIFT system is completely outdated. It takes days to wire money. Like, banks have to hold trillions and trillions of dollars in reserve so that they can actually have something to give to people if they're going to exchange for gold or different money or all this stuff. And it's slow as fuck. And the fastest way to get money from one place to the other is to get on a fucking plane and fly it there. It's so stupid. So this new financial system thing came online July 14th. And it's funny because on the day before, on July 13th, I was like, oh, you know what? That financial system is going online on the 14th. Just in case something goes wonky, I'm going to get money out of the ATM before that. Well, it turns out the whole weekend was like, the ATMs were not available. I went to the ATM and it was like, this ATM is unavailable for cash deposit, whatever. It was unusable. And I was like, oh, we in the reset now. Okay. And so again, it was very, very quiet. And they're all kind of switching over their systems to this new software, whatever the fuck you want to think of it as. And so freedom, because the financial reset is all about freedom and freedom for the masses and all kinds of stuff. And also on the 14th of July, Ann Walton of Walmart fame, richest family in the world or something. I don't know. They're up there. She opened, or in her name, I'm assuming she's still alive. I don't fucking know these people. I don't give a shit. But if she's still alive, I think she's still alive. Anyway, she opened a new medical school. And it's a medical school that's it's not just Western, it's like more inclusive and holistic. And so what I was talking about in the last stream or did I even mention this in the last stream I think I did, where nobody escapes the awakening, not even these dumbass billionaires that are ruining everything. No one is going to escape the awakening. And so what we're going to see, it might not be as exciting of an awakening as we would like, although we are having some fun with. Are we on the third CEO that's been murdered? I don't know. There's been a few. So we're having the revolution fun or whatever fun. You know what I'm saying? So, but also it's not going to be like the awakening is quiet. It's internal. So maybe this Ann Walton person is going through an awakening, and she's like, yes, I'm a billionaire, trillionaire, whatever the fuck, and I'm going to open up this new medical school that actually is a step towards, it feels like a bridge, it's like maybe that's not the actual answer, or maybe like the form that it's in right now doesn't stay and it morphs into like even more holistic, like whatever. But for now, the billionaires are the people with the money are the ones that are going to make these changes happen. And so the billionaires are going to wake up and we're all just going to be like, oh, dang, they're actually doing good stuff. We can't eat the rich. It might be that. Like, I don't know. Either way, it's going to work out for all of us and it's going to be fucking amazing. So that's why I keep saying, do what you want. Be gay, do crimes, okay? Awaken your inner bog witch and just like do what you want, because the system has to crumble. And so have some fun while you can, breaking the law or whatever of the old systems. Like, just do your thing. I act like I do this all the time. I'm more quiet. Like I like I said, I'm not real arsenal about shit, but like the lessons that I have been learning throughout this like shedding of my people pleasing and all kinds of monsters that I just have never really dealt with in my life. I always, like I said, I freeze, I fawn, whatever. It's like, do what you want in the face of a bad reaction from someone you care about or from someone you are afraid of, or, whatever. So that's what I keep saying to people. And I have done that in my personal life. I've had to step up and like be the dragon, be the divine feminine who destroys shit in the name of my own mental health and all kinds of stuff. And I'm glad that I've done it, because that has shed my people pleasing. Again, we all have masculine and feminine energies. So if you're thinking you don't have both of those, you do. And it's good to get in touch with both of them, because if you don't, you're going to have a rougher ride here. You will eventually, but like the more you work with it, the better. And I had trouble with my own masculine energy. I was like, I don't have any of that. What are you talking about? Yes, I do. So just saying, work with that divine feminine energy and destroy shit in the name of your own mental health. I don't really know how I got on that with the whole fucking, the people with the money. So anyway, that's part of the reason why the financial reset is such a big deal, because those of us, the common man, the plebes on the ground, with this financial reset, we're going to have all the money to fund our friends' big dreams, the people we care about. Like, so I'm really fucking excited for all these new things. And so anyway, July 14th brought in more of the freedom timeline, not just the new financial system, but also this new medical system with this billionaire person who's like doing good for the world. And that's kind of how it starts for these people with the billionaire. It's like she might not have been altruistic about this. Maybe she's not going through an awakening. I don't know. Regardless, even if she's doing it for the money, because she sees that like all these people in the collective want, there's so much. We're all starting to go to acupuncture. We're all starting to learn about herbs and other non-Western medical things. So maybe she's like, you know what? I want to capitalize on that and get more money. So I'll open this medical school so I can make more money off of these people. Who knows? Again, either way, the good shit is happening. So I just wanted to say that. Also, with this August and September choice point stuff, I don't want to be like, I don't want to create a fear narrative around it or anything like that. And I don't think I have, but just in case, these choice points and the things that are happening, especially around the eclipse time, whatever, they're going to show you how far you've come, all the work you've been doing, especially when you just feel like, why the fuck is anything not working the way I want? Because we're in a lot of retrograde energy right now, not just Mercury, but like there's a bunch of other planets in retrograde. And so there's just a lot of confusion and like, but I thought I was working on this thing and I thought it was, and you're hitting roadblocks and all kinds of shit. It's just the period of time we're in. It's like the reframe. It's not even just the reframing, but it's the refining and like looking at things that you've started in April and kind of like, where do I want to go from there? What else? But also it's just showing you how far you've come. So any confusion, any like irritation, any whatever that you're in right now, you're going to be getting clarity. It's going to be awesome, but just kind of let it ride right now because the clarity is not in the air. The confusion is in the air and it's just part of the process and we'll get through that. But I did want to mention that. So yeah, eclipses make sure that we're not stagnant when there's so much more we could be creating is what I wrote in my notes. So also, there's an influx of air and fire energies, like the eclipses not the eclipses. Some of the planetary alignments, they're in air and fire signs. And that is wildfire shit. Like, you thought life was moving fast now. When we have this influx of air, fire, it's like, whoosh. just be prepared for really fast, crazy, exciting changes. So, anyway, that's all my notes. I don't think I'm going to do cards because I am fucking tired. And again, I was super nervous. I woke up this morning. I was like, I knew I had notes. I always have notes, but I was just like, oh my God, I don't even know what I'm going to say. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Am I going to forget everything? So anyway, I think I've done everything I want to talk about. And it feels like a good ending point. But if anyone is still here and has questions, I'm happy to answer them, even if they're out of the blue. I know I went off on ask questions about the subject material I'm presenting. But also, again, like I said, I do appreciate outside the box questions. So if there's something you are thinking of, I'm happy to do that. But anyway, just a few more minutes of like hanging out to see if anybody has questions. Otherwise, I just want to do my little closing where I thank you for coming to the Midnight Diner, session 9. We are the weirdos, Mr. Pluto in Aquarius is going to have us all getting in touch with our weirdo self these next 20 years and really leaning into the parts that we think are cringe or we've hidden away for other reasons. And this is the time to bring out your weirdo self. And one of the things I wanted to mention about the weirdo self is circadian rhythms. I don't know why, but I was like, if I don't fucking talk about this live on the air at some point, might as well be right now as we close this out. Maybe you're going to take a nap or something after this. It's circadian rhythms. And I have a bee in my bonnet about people who are like, you got to wake up with the sun and go to bed with the sun and do these and these things if you want to get your circadian rhythms back on. Fuck the circadian rhythms of other people. What are your circadian rhythms? I have thought for years, even before my awakening, I have thought for years, I was like, my body does not feel like it fits into a 24-hour clock. It just doesn't make sense for me. And I think with Pluto in Aquarius, and I will explain, Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is the timekeeper, okay? And he's more than that, but in this instance, he's the timekeeper, and so Aquarius is ruled by him. But Aquarius also has a very Uranian energy, and Uranus is like out of the blue or like outside the box thinking, just like whatever. So Aquarius is going to out Saturn, but in the name of a good foundation, which Saturn also loves. So Saturn kind of looks at Aquarius like, okay, I see what you're doing, but also you're doing a good job with the foundation, so he can't really say anything. So anyway, the timekeeper thing I'm talking about is getting on your own circadian rhythm. And I know that's really hard right now because we're in this matrix of time is this, and everybody in your society is usually, awake during certain times, whatever. So as we move through this Pluto in Aquarius transit, Pluto again excavates everything in the sign that it's in. So Aquarius being ruled by the timekeeper, Pluto is going to excavate how we keep time for ourselves. And one astrologer I was following on Twitter was like talking about these night societies that she feels are coming up. And I'm like, night societies? Tell me more. And I feel like that's the vibe of the Midnight Diner. It's like a night society. And so yes, I'm streaming during the day right now. I feel like when you find your own circadian rhythm, or when I find my own circadian rhythm, I may be streaming in the middle of the night at some time. Like, I don't know. I love that idea. Like the Midnight Diner. Come on, it's the Midnight Diner. Like, hello. So anyway, if you're not feeling the whole like loving waking up in the morning with the sun and going to bed with the sun, whatever, it's because you're not supposed to, maybe, just explore your own circadian rhythm and see, because think about it, as a collective, as a human collective tribe, are we all supposed to do the same thing? Like, who's going to keep watch at night? Like, motherfuckers, don't tell me to wake up with the sun. Like, I love the sun. I want to be out in it sometimes, whatever. But like, anyway, I just wanted to say that because it was bothering me. And so now I've said it. Anyway, I love you guys. Find your own circadian rhythm. And again, I'm assuming I will be back in about 2 weeks. That will be the first eclipse. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I feel like I will be back here for that eclipse. But if something happens, whatever, we'll see. Anyway, I love you. Big love and hugs. We're going to bring out the little dragon who gives you extra support during these crazy times. And just, remember to celebrate your wins. You are an amazing, powerful soul having a human experience and aligning with your own power. You're seeing how far you've come. I know it feels really hard right now, but like, you're a master gamer or you would not be here. And I am here to remind you about how powerful you are and how amazing you are. And you don't have to listen to other people telling you to live in fear or to not do the things you want to do, whatever. I celebrate you and I love you and I send you lots of love and support. And yeah, till next time. Peace out, bitches.